Mm, all righty. How is everybody doing? Sorry, I'm late. Mm. Let me get my hat. 1 second. Yes. How is everybody? I am good. Ah, boom. Let's go. We're going to talk about Caitlyn Jenner. We're going to talk about privilege. We're going to talk about identity. We're going to talk about all those things because I think it's some stuff that we have to get clear or I have to get clear because certain things I don't understand, not necessarily about Caitlyn, but about identity, because there's some things that I'm not aligned with. And yeah. Hey Roma. Hey Ren. How are you? How is everybody? So we're gonna talk about all of that good stuff. Caitlyn has a documentary that's out on Netflix. It's a part of the series called Unheard. I think the series is called Unheard. And she has a documentary that is discussing her advancement, her journey and Olympian, and all the things, and then it goes into her being, transitioning and how that happening. So I thought it was quite insightful because there were certain the basic stories, but you don't know the details of her story. She was an you know, the general stuff that I knew was she was an Olympian. I remember growing up and she was on the Wheaties box, and we knew who at the time Bruce Jenner was because he had done all of this stuff with the Olympians. And then it kind of died down. You knew the name, but it because that was in the 70s, over time it's just not important anymore. Do you feel what I'm saying? Hey Brandon, it's not important anymore. And so, but then um the Kardashians happened. He married Chris Jenner after, Rob Kardashian had well, is the dad named Rob? Father, Daddy Kardashian. When he passed away, her next man was Bruce. And Chris turned into his like marketing publicist, rebranded him in a way, and started making money off the same thing she's doing with her daughters. Chris, being the marketing manager genius that she is, she was doing it with Bruce before the sex tape with Kim. She was doing that with Bruce, really just marketing him and rebranding him and creating a new you know a new business model for him. So that's her husband. So they can be successful based off his past as an Olympian. Then they had children, and then the Kardashian thing happened with the Kim with the tape, and they turned into this big ass long 20 season Kardashian clan, and Bruce was a part of that. Then they go into how Bruce transitioned to Caitlyn, and then so she now emerges. And in the documentary, it explains what I didn't know is that Caitlyn tried to transition in the 90s. Okay. She tried to transition in the 90s, told her old wife, not the one before um Kris Jenner, told her old wife and really eh, came out to her family, the first children. And she really went through the process of transitioning in the 90s. I didn't know that. That was a unique little detail that I didn't know, that she actually did attempt to transition in 90s, and she got scared and went back um to being closeted or whatever. She divorced her wife, and then she met Chris, and yeah, and Chris was like, "Oh, baby, let me show you how to do this. Let me show you how to do this Olympic thing so we can make you some money." And so, but what was quite unique was her life prior to transitioning. Not unique in the sense of that, but unique where about this documentary is that it laid out for me how privileged Bruce Jenner was. Take Caitlyn out of it, just the Bruce part, just the Bruce Jenner living his life at the time, living his life, how privileged he was even before being an Olympian. Okay, like the whole his whole life has been people putting him in positions as a white athlete, as a white male athlete to succeed, that his white malehood really, and understand that when I'm talking about Bruce Jenner, I'm gonna say he. When I'm talking about Caitlyn, I'm gonna say she. But when I'm talking about her life as Bruce Jenner, I'm gonna say he. Um, there was a time there when you're watching it, you literally see it's like laid out very, very plain that um that like, oh my god, like she kept getting opportunity after opportunity, even when she had got injured, even switching to like track when she couldn't play football no more. Everybody was giving her opportunity after opportunity. Even her first wife at the time, her first wife let her was working so that Bruce could train for what he was trying to do in the Olympics the first time he went. Because remember, Bruce went to the Olympics the two times. One time and it was garbage. He got beat by the Soviet Union and they slayed. And so in that moment, they got footage of it. He was like, "That's where I want to be. Like I want to be that gold. I don't care what I gotta do. I gotta train. I gotta get up every morning. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I got to get that gold. That is now my goal. Now that is the peak of the mountain. I don't want to focus on anything else." And so he got this little bullshit insurance job. His girlfriend had a job, took care of the house, and he got every morning. His wife at the time, he got married to her. And he got up every morning and trained. And then he met this guy and they trained together and they went to the Olympics together. And so just the fact that he could follow his dream, he had a wife that was taking care of the house, taking care of the kid, and actually working, doing double duty as far as taking care of home, taking care of him, and taking care of the family while he go pursue his dream. That is white male privilege. You have it's like no choice but to succeed. No choice but yes. Everyone literally is falling in line to support her. Right now, wait. In this time, this was a he. This was literally a tall, handsome. That's another thing that I had to really clock and give the rods to. Bruce was handsome. It wasn't just some ugly dude that had athletic ability. This is a dude who was handsome, who was attractive, who was a heartthrob and an athlete. So you got the privilege of beauty, you got the privilege of male athleticism, you got the privilege of height, you got the privilege, you hit the jackpot of you know of the of I mean, of how this system is, how everything was in your favor. How everybody around you, your wife, your mother, your father, everybody around you got in line behind your dream because look, the father was like, "I have this amazing athletic son." So of course, the dad is going to support you. Dad is going to be whatever you need to do so I can be this proud father. So everything in your life and everything about your goal was pointing to the direction for them to treat you like this amazing man, white cisgender man. So, and then the things changed. She was saying that it started to feel weird. She started to have these feelings. She said it always had been there, but you know, she just kind of suppressed it or whatever. All right. So why I'm having this conversation and why I want to give that caveat, and give that context. I'm sorry. Give that context, not caveat. Let me see. So recently, Caitlyn Jenner, as we all know, we talked about it on another video. Caitlyn Jenner is running for governor or whatever. She's really giving her opinions about just any hot button issues. And she has done this since Trump got in office, just sharing her conservative Republican opinions because that's what she has been all her life, a white male conservative. And now she's just a white transgender woman conservative Republican. Still the same thing. She didn't change her political ideologies. And she says recently what she has chimed in on was her opinions about abortion, and she is basically aligning with Republicans when it comes to abortion. And I have posted this on our Marsha's Plates Instagram. Ooh, that's flipped. Anyway, I'll read it. Caitlyn Jenner is a woman of white man experience. That's what I feel. That's what she is. She is a woman, no doubt, not invalidating her womanhood, but you are a woman of white man experience. Because your whole life for 65 plus years, because she's almost 7, she is 70 something, you have lived your life as a privileged, most of it as a privileged, rich, white Republican man. So you have, you're a woman of white men experience. And so I say on the post, I said, it is what it is. No one cares about her opinion on abortions. Caitlyns' politics are informed by her lived experience. It doesn't invalidate her womanhood, but there is a clear connection between her politics and her experiences living as a rich white conservative man. That power and access comes with an ingrained blind spot that even cis white women don't have. Living her womanhood 65 plus years later doesn't automatically open her eyes to those blind spots. Do you feel what I'm saying? Hey, Coco. Hey, Culture. Hey, Tanisha. Hey, Davina. Hey, who else did I miss? I got Roma earlier. Yes. So, do you feel what I'm saying? So, look how difficult it is for us when we are trying to get white cisgender male Republicans to understand the plight of Black Lives Matter and Black lives and Black people and Black women and all the things. Think about how many blind spots they have. Not just the intentional ones, but the ones that are unintentional. I just didn't think about that. How many times have you been talking to a white person and you had to explain something that Black people already know because we live this shit? Shit just by us living through it. You know what I'm saying? We have a PhD in racism just because we live through this shit every fucking day, and we navigate white people and we navigate white supremacy and we navigate it. So we literally have a PhD in racism, and we will explain something that's so simple to us to a white person, and they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't even think about that." Sound like Goofy. You get what I'm saying? To me, they act like it wasn't common sense to them, but it's common sense to us. It's like y'all knew I grew up in the church and singing. It's something about growing up in the church. It's a constant because you're going to church, and sometimes we're forced because of our parents. When you go into church and you got some kind of singing ability, you are constantly in the choir, constantly going to Bible study, doing singing, and the music is a part of your life if that's what that if that's your talent or whatever. So you it's a constant course in musicality. So when you get out in the world, if you want to be a music artist, it's certain things that you ingrained in you because you grew up in this musical gospel shit. And so it's certain things that you don't have to learn. I can just harmonize with people. It's super easy for me. Where somebody else who didn't grow up in that might have to learn how to harmonize. Or just certain things, how to stay on beat, how to how to run, how to do different things, something that's ingrained in you if you grew up in church. It's the same thing, I think, with Black people and racism. How we have to navigate the world, it's just conditioned in us to understand racism and how it shows up in various ways in our lives. And because white people don't have to deal with it, sometimes they don't know about it, particularly if they are not living in multicultural communities. All right. So I say, so when I say that, when I posted this, Caitlyn Jenner is a white woman of is a woman of white men experience. Everybody, not everybody, most people were agreeing, like, yep, 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 yep. But there was a couple of people, particularly white trans people, and it is not a surprise to me that now there was a Black one, but most of them who had an issue with what I said were white trans people, white trans women. And there's a reason why, because why it was them. Hey, D. Ashley. There's a reason why that was them. There is a particular way that no matter how woke you are, you think you are because of your transness. You haven't come to grips on really accepting your privilege. So let me explain. So let's see who said what. Let's go to and it's so much. It's so much juicy. So much juicy. So we want to go through the comments and really look at it. They saw something in themselves, probably. Absolutely, ammo. Oh, let me see what is going on. Oh, my internet is on my phone. I don't know why it's not working or it's working slow. But anyway, till I find it, I like they don't even know that they don't what they don't know. They get hurt when it's pointed out to them because it's like, oh, I might be a racist. What? And it's more important to them to not be labeled as a racist than to not actually act like a racist. Like change it. They're more moved by being called a racist than moved to actually change the um I'm okay with me doing racist shit, but I just don't want you to call me a racist. I don't want you to I don't want you to call me out on it. I want you to be quiet. I don't want to I don't want you to say anything about it. I still want to do my racist shit. I still want to clench my purse when a Black person come on the elevator. I still want to walk across the street. I still want to lock my doors when I see the Black hoodlums, or I still want to or when I don't call the girl who have the amazing resume but the ghetto name. I mean, I don't want you to call me out on that. I still want to be able to do it. I still want to be able to discriminate. I still want to be able to do those things. I just don't want you to call me out on it. I knew the post would be a panty buncher, but it's the truth. Facts. So, all right. So all right. So this is a couple of people. We're going to read some of the ones that were kind of disagreeing with it or whatever. So let's talk about it. Oh my goodness. You're a white person impression. All right. So Natural Gal 204. She says, I'm a bit confused. I've heard cis people say the same thing. The trans women are informed by their life experience, which includes the life and privileges that may have had before they transitioned. I was under the impression that saying that was transphobic. So I say, this is my response back to them. I said, I feel like I feel like if you are using their past experiences to invalidate their current identity, that's transphobic. Like if you say, because you used to live as a man, you're not a woman now, that's transphobic. Because you were born a man, or nobody is born a man, born a male child, because you were born a male child, you're not a woman now. That's transphobic because that's not true. Okay? But acknowledging that your past experience colors your current womanhood, I don't think that that's transphobic. I don't think it's transphobic for me to say that Caitlyn Jenner, who lived 65 plus years as a man, that experience as a rich, conservative white man, that experience colors who she is today. I don't think that that's transphobic, and I don't think it's unrealistic, and I think it's ridiculous for you to act like that whole part of her life doesn't inform her current state of being, especially when she literally has the same exact politics that she had prior. That's ridiculous to me for you to that you're expecting people to totally ignore that past at all. And so somebody else said, zobbity bop, 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 zobbity bip, something. They say, isn't that the same argument that J.K. Rowling makes? And I said, J.K. Rowling wouldn't refer to her as a woman. TERFs don't think that you're a woman because of that past. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that she is a woman, but she's a woman of a white man experience. I say J.K. Rowling wouldn't do that. The white man in this statement describes her experience. It doesn't describe her. When I say she is of a white man experience, I'm that white man is not calling her a white man. I literally say Caitlyn is a woman of white man experience. The white man describes the experience, and that's the truth. I don't understand why people are acting so dense and so stupid. I'm intentionally trying to be offensive or insulting to your transition or trans people's transition. That's not what I'm doing. I'm clear history of white rich malehood informed everything that she has done, and she just transitioned 65 plus. That shit don't go away automatically. And then Bettina Judd, I love Bettina. She says, or more, just to kind of give the caveat of what I said, she says to give, or more plainly, a white woman. But I can't let that slide. I love Bettina, and I don't. Her intention wasn't to be negative, but I can't let you. It's not. We can't just call Caitlyn just a white woman. Right now we can, but when we're talking about her past experience, she didn't have a white woman's past. She had a rich white male. And if you have any kind of gender analysis, there is a difference. But we can't lump all white people together. There is a difference in the access and power and privilege of a white man compared to a white woman. Yes. Do white women have white privilege? Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely they do. But because when you homogenize the white experience, that means and take out the gender analysis, you're doing yourself and the world a disservice. There has to be analysis of gender in there as well. And Caitlyn didn't live as a white woman. Caitlyn lived as a rich, white, privileged man. And that comes with a level of power, privilege, and access that even a rich white woman don't have. When we think about, do y'all know who Mitch McConnell is? Compare him to Kay Gardner. Do y'all even know who Kay Gardner is? Y'all probably don't even know who she is. Does anybody know who Kay Gardner is? Put a thumbs up if you know who she is. I know y'all know who Mitch McConnell is, but most people don't know who Kay Gardner is. Kay Gardner is the oldest Republican white senator. And she didn't get her position till like 05, but she's the oldest standing white woman Republican senator. We don't. Most of the Republican senators, white women that we have become have come into their power recently. Most Republicans were white men. We didn't. Most of the women in the Congress or Senate were on the Democratic side. They was not on the Republican side, the white conservative, because white men on the conservative side of the aisle have way more privilege than white women on the conservative side of the aisle. Do you feel what I'm saying? So we don't even know who the fuck Kay Gardner is because we don't care. Mitch McConnell, because he has the power and the privilege of a typical conservative white man in that political arena. There are other arenas that we can talk about as well. But do you see what I'm saying? Like that's what I mean. Living as a conservative white man is much different. I don't want to say tons of difference, but it's different enough when you consider the gender analysis of their position in society that there is a difference in how Caitlyn Jenner lived her life and a conservative white woman lived her life. There's a total difference in regards to that. And it has to be considered when we are analyzing what she is doing today. And so and so here's somebody else. They say Miss I Cherry May. She says her living an actual life of a rich white conservative man 100% invalidates her womanhood. I disagree with that. I don't think that it invalidates her womanhood. I think she's a woman. But I do think that it informs her politics. I don't think she's not a woman. I think she transitioned, and I think that was real, especially hearing about what she'd gone through behind the scenes with trying to come to grips with her transhood. I don't believe she just popped up and said, "Oh, I'm going to be a woman today because I see all these beautiful Kardashians." Kate Granger, I'm sorry. We have to dissect the different, absolutely, culture love. So when we think about that, I feel like it absolutely colors her politics, because there's no way you're gonna tell me that you were a rich white man and you had some type of racial or gender analysis in a way that was fucking woke when you were living that life. Particularly you saying that I've been a proud Republican all my life. We know what proud white male Republicans are. We know how they think. And just because you switch to being trans, just because you finally live your truth and be the woman that you are, that doesn't change what you experienced before then. And so, continue. So this is the only black person who said it was wrong. I get your point, but this is kind of wrong. And I say, somebody responds to her. Oh no, somebody else agrees. They say, like, just say she's privileged and clueless on the issues. Yeah, they can attack how wrong she is without referring to her as a man. First of all, I didn't refer to her as a man. I literally referred to her as a woman of white man experience. The white man descriptor describe experience. It doesn't describe Caitlyn. Use your comprehension skills, bitch. Calm down. And so now I get in the conversation. I said, we don't refer to her as a man, and I explained to that. I say, I describe her experience. I said, she lives her experience as a white man for 60 plus years, and the remnants of that experience continue to show her politics. And she says, the wording is still And then I explained to her, I her as a man. TERFs would refer to her as a man because that your experiences as a man or as a male, da 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 da, invalidate your womanhood altogether. That's why they are called trans exclusive radical feminists. That's why they're called TERFs, because they don't include you in womanhood. That's not what I'm doing here. Um, and then she goes into how many likes that she got on the comment, and I was like, "Sweetie, Caitlyn is operating from her lived experience. That is not the same statement as saying Caitlyn is a man, or Caitlyn is not feminine, or Caitlyn is not a woman, or Caitlyn was born a man, so she's not a woman. Or Caitlyn was born a man, so she's gonna always be a man. Though what I'm saying is not the same thing. That's the message here, is that Caitlyn's long-lived experiences informs her politics. That's the message here. I don't care about the likes that you get. Bootsy get likes. Trump get likes. K.R. Rowling gets likes. Your opinion, you can have your opinion of whatever, but that don't make it right because you're getting likes. I was like, you don't have to change your mind. We just disagree. And so I also say, so that's the first black girl that has said something, the only black girl. And so this is the white girl. And she says, plenty of white women are forced birthers and hold bigoted views similar to Caitlyn. She definitely cashed in on her privilege, but was it specifically male privilege? Personally, I have white women in my family in Canada who hold conservative views on abortion, mask mandates, and I know a few women in Orange County, LA too, actually, with varying conservative views. So this goes back to what I was saying. When you homogenize all white people and not consider gender, if you're not having a feminist analysis, particularly a black feminist analysis, but if you are not including gender, then you are erasing the oppression of women, the oppression of females, the oppression of femmes, the oppression of whatever those identities are that are unique and intersections that are unique to women. And so that's what she's doing. She's homogenizing. She's saying that there's white women who have conservative. Absolutely, they are. But when we're talking about Caitlyn Jenner, we're not talking about a white woman's lived experiences. We're not. Now she's living as a white trans woman, so she's navigating the world as a white woman. But before she transitioned 5 years ago, she had a whole 65 plus years. You always remind us that gender is the grandfather of racism. Absolutely. And I think because we focus on race, because of the history of chattel slavery in America, sometimes we forget that the gender thing is the old thing. That's the thing that's been going on in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, everywhere. That's the thing that there is a amazing documentary called the Ascension of Women. They break it down. They really break it down. Really, the history of female oppression is beautiful. So let's see the responses to that. Somebody else chimed in, another white woman, because white women, particularly trans women, when you don't have, it's because of us. Because how can I say this? Because of the vantage point that I have as a black trans woman, there are certain intersections of understanding that I am going to have, because that vantage point gives me the range to understand a lot of perspectives because of my intersection. And there's going to be people who are less privileged than even me. Like if you talk about a Black trans woman who is disabled, if you talk about a Black trans woman who is an immigrant, if you talk about a Black trans woman who is, poorer than I am, because I'm working class. I'm a working class woman. I'm not under the poverty line, so I'm not poor. I'm a working class woman. So somebody who is even under me in regards to the money that they make, they're going to have a different analysis than even I do. Now, I've been a poor woman, so I that's my lived experience. So it colors my current state of being. When I was a middle class woman 3 years ago, because I used to be a poor woman, it colored how I maneuvered in my middle class. So anyway, so here's another person. This is where I got stuck in the conversation too. A trans woman is not a woman who has experienced life as a man. A trans woman is a woman who has experienced life as a trans woman. You're totally now, okay. Unless she expressed that she experienced life as a man, we're all responsible for our own journey as LGBTIA plus people. As really prominent woman in our local LGBT put it, our privilege isn't erased due to our identity. She's a trans woman who experienced life as a trans woman who also benefit from the social privileges that she carried before she came out. Now let me address that, because this ideology, this not ideology, this analysis is empty and kind of hypocritical. Trans people we cannot at the same time say that passing as cisgender gives us privilege. We cannot say that passing as cisgender people keeps us safe, because we say that a lot. Oh, if you pass, if people assume that you're cisgender, you pass and you say that you're safe, and people assume, and you get the privileges of, being assumed to be cisgender. And, people are not trying to attack you. People are not pointing at you. People are not, your transness is almost erased because they don't know that you're trans. Now, we've heard that a lot. Like, haven't we heard that? Haven't we heard that a lot, that trans people who have the ability to pass as cisgender are more safe? Not totally safe, but generally on day-to-day basis more safe. If we believe that that's true, there is no way that you can believe that when we were living as the gender that we didn't want to be, that we didn't get those same kind of safety and privileges. Those two things are contradictory. If I'm running around, even though I may be trans on the inside, but if I'm running around the world as a Black man, I'm getting stopped by the police. The police are going to assume that I'm a Black man. So something could happen. I'm getting pulled over because I'm a Black man. I'm getting treated more aggressive because I'm a Black man. I'm getting how the world is perceiving me. I am getting the privileges and the disadvantages of how the world is perceiving me. Regardless if the trans is on the inside or not, the world is perceiving me a certain way. And so it's treating me a certain way. You can't erase that truth. That don't mean that when you transition later that you're less of a woman because you have those experiences. Hey, Vane. Hey, Be Happy. Hey, Sunshine. Who haven't I said hey to? Hey, Amara. Marissa, how are you? But yes. So let's take they thought they had me. And so they are trying to homogenize it. So I say, I don't think there's a difference in privilege of power and access. But I asked them, I say, you don't think that there's a difference between privilege, power, and access between a white conservative woman and a white conservative man? Even more specifically, you don't think that a white male Olympic gold champion had more privilege and power and access than a white female counterpart in the 70s? Who is the female athlete of the time? Do we even know her? Do we even mention her? Who was the woman in the woman side of the competition? Who was the woman decathlon? Decathlon, is that how you say it? Who was the woman who was doing that? Do we even talk about her? That privilege in that moment right there. That she didn't get on no Wheaties box. Whoever the woman was at the peak of athleticism time that Bruce Jenner was at his peak, she didn't get no fucking endorsements like him. Privilege, power, and access. The man was on the Wheaties box. The man who did the decathlon. It wasn't the woman. She didn't get as many opportunities as him. She didn't get on the Johnny Carson show like he did. Even in that moment right there, there was a difference in power, privilege, and access between the white athlete that won and the white male athlete that won and the white female athlete that won. Even in that moment right there. And so I say, I'm a feminist. I believe that there's a difference between power, access, and privilege in the genders. And if a person navigates 65 years of the world as a rich cis white male compared to a cis white female, there's going to be a difference in that experience. Yes, conservative white women exist, and there's a difference between, let's say, I told them, Mitch McConnell and Kay Granger. Caitlyn benefited from a specific type of privilege, and it wasn't void of any gender perks. Her new documentary that I want y'all to watch and check it out. Want y'all to watch it and check it out. Could the female contemporary be Billie Jean King? And how many issues? Exactly. That's a perfect contemporary. How many issues about Billie Jean's gender? It's a whole movie. Billie Jean wasn't tennis, but it's a whole movie laying out the gender shit that she came up against as this tennis elite. Right? It's a whole movie about Billie Jean King's experience. We know how sports, we look at Serena Williams. That's when when you have a woman and race involved. And so they say, I do believe her access privilege in the professional sports and in marketing and income, I do think there's a difference. Then that's the privilege. You can't erase that difference. But it feels like an oversimplification that says she had a male experience. It sounds too much like Buck Angel saying a man with a female past. Now, this may be controversial, but I don't have a problem with that. With Buck Angel saying to himself, referring to his, that's what I have. When you try to make your experience equal to other trans people, then I have a problem with it. But what I try to make very clear is if I say something that I know that maybe other trans people are not fucking with, I will say other trans people don't fuck with this, but this is how I think about it. I have no issue with Buck Angel saying I'm a man with a female past because I believe that is true. Buck transitioned later in his life. He was a whole female model. He benefited from being a beauty. That's a whole that is his experience. And if he's saying that that's his experience, fuck it. Cool. I think that that's the truth. Let's talk about me because somebody tries to say it to me. So, because I say this person forever good. So she was like, well, let me pop her. Let me see let me try to get her. She says, so shall we say that you're a woman of black man experience? She thought she had me, girl. She thought she had me, girl. She said, well, let me pop her with this. Caitlyn is walking piece of trash. Caitlyn is a walking piece of trash. But with this post, you invalidate my womanhood just because you want to insult Caitlyn. So she has taken this personally. This clearly is a white trans woman. But she thinks she had me. She said, should we call you a woman of black man experience? So I say, you can say I'm a woman with black boy experience. That's true. I transitioned early, so I didn't grow to be a man. I didn't have, I never had any adult male experiences. Period. I didn't grow to be a man, but I was a little black boy. And I'm not ashamed of that. I said, I never became a man. I was still a little boy when I transitioned around 12, 13. That's my truth. My black boyhood from birth to transition informs my womanhood today. I'm actually okay with my history and understand how that informed who I am today. How sensitive I am to the harm of black boys. Is colored by my experience. How Tamir Rice's death affected. Whoa, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. Seeing that little boy on the fucking playground playing with his gun, and that cop didn't give him seconds to live or give him the thought of the care and humanity to give him some time to figure out what's happening with this little boy. Because I remember being a little boy on the playground playing with a gun. That could have been me. And you're not about to tell me that because I transitioned, because I'm a woman now, that those experiences don't matter to me. It matters. I care about what happens to little boys and little girls. But because I know what it was like to be a little boy, regardless if there was some nuances of my queerness and transness under there that I didn't understand, I still was being perceived as a little boy. And so I'm sensitive about what happens in those scenarios. And I can't forget it. It's not erased. It doesn't invalidate the woman. It just makes me a unique woman. It gives me a different point of view than a cisgender woman. It doesn't make me less of one. It just gives me a different point of view. Oh, I didn't mean to get. But you're not going to tell me that that didn't inform who I am today. That didn't affect who the woman, how I navigate the world as a woman. My past affects it. Period. I'm not ashamed of my history. I don't feel that history undermines or invalidates my womanhood. I say, and this post has nothing to do with you. How is it invalidating your womanhood by me telling you that Caitlyn Jenner is a woman of white man experience? And she says, because I transitioned late, but just because I transitioned late doesn't mean that I was living as a man. I was living as a woman forced to pretend to be a man. And when you were pretending to be a man, you were benefiting from being a man that you were pretending to be. Period. That's why you were pretending, so you can get those privileges. The whole point of you putting on the facade of this man is so you can get the privileges of being a man and not get treated like a trans woman because you weren't ready to transition. And what's going on the inside is important to consider, but that's not how the world is perceiving you, boo-boo. The world is perceiving you a certain way and responding to you in a certain way. And then, so let's talk about it. And like, I want to make it very clear, this is not about me invalidating hood. This is acknowledging my history. I don't care if you do it or if you're a trans person and you're listening, if you do it or not, great. I don't care about that. There is a level. I was very clear about the differences between male being a little boy and being a little girl, particularly as a church going little boy. I've read to y'all my book, a part of my book, I think. Um let me read just this part of this is from my book that's coming out soon, probably in the spring. And I read this to some of y'all, but if you're new, here you go. So this is I'm telling the story about coming into church. And there was this boy when I was 9 years old that was like 17, 18, named Dion, and how he navigated the church because he was like an alpha male. And so I'm describing the boy, Dion. Through Dion, I learned that the spoils of being a man in the world is the gift of patriarchy. The church was a training ground to put a male on the road to be the top of the social hierarchy. Dion was what I would learn years later was a quote unquote alpha male. Now we know that alpha male is not a real thing. I know the concept is something that we have come to talk about like it exists, but even the theory, the scientist who created the theory of alpha male when he studied the wolves, he literally came back years later in 1999 and said that was bullshit. Sorry. So the whole concept of alpha male is fake, but I'm just saying this as far as like, and I put quotation marks. He was what we would call as an alpha male. He got to sit where he wanted to sit. Whoa. He had charisma and he performed masculinity to its perfect pitch. They treated him like a prince. He got to sit where he wanted to sit in church. All the girls loved him. He made all the men proud and all the women laugh. They showered him with compliments and praise. At 9 years old, I did my best to sit next to him on the church bus. I would be so disappointed if I didn't get that coveted seat. I would stalk him around the church, just watching how he engaged with people. He would get extra chicken wings from women in the church kitchen for literally being handsome. He could even stand with the grown men and talk without them shooing him away. He just had a lot of freedom that me and the girls didn't have. But even me, I had more freedom than the girls have. I didn't have all that freedom, but I had a little bit less. I was policed way more, my femininity in particular. But it was only my femininity. The girls, everything was policed about them. How they were dressed, their femininity too. How they were dressed, this definitely didn't happen to Dion. Every activity I was invited to, just like Dion, they just treated him like a prince. I was able to go to camp. I was able to do everything. The girls weren't able to do any of that, even if they wanted to. They wanted me to be more like Dion. They were like, you are a boy and you are supposed to be acting like a man. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to put you in the boys' camp. I dreaded the idea, but Dion would be there. So I looked forward to it. This is the time in my life where I was called a faggot, pretty much the norm. It was pretty much the norm, even though I had never had sex and didn't really have the full grasp of what homosexuality was. But I was called a faggot. I was called out of that. I would get to school and playground, or even I was even being chased home because of my particular mannerisms. I didn't know actually what a faggot meant, but I knew it had something to do with how I act and with me liking boys. I hadn't had sex. I hadn't done any of that. Let me skip this part. But I didn't mind because I'm gonna go to this camp. All I cared about was Dion. Praise, and praise dance and church ladies. That's all I cared about. But when I got into the camp, they brought me suits, fishing poles, and swimming trunks. They planned a whole day of praising God, fishing, teaching us how to shoot guns. I didn't really like the suits that much because they were kind of itchy because they were cheap. But I come from a girl. I come from a family of Mississippi country girls, and so I actually like swimming, fishing, and shooting guns because that's what all of us did. My excitement about the activities were quite comical to the men who ran the church camp. They expected me to be scared or squeamish, but I wasn't. I had already fished. I knew how to get the worm on the hook without being scared or squeamish about that. I knew how to do it. So by the end of this whole thing, not only was I the best swimmer, I caught the most fish, and I was the best shooter. Boom. And they were all surprised. The next Sunday, when I came in my new oversized navy blue suit, they treated me differently. Dion patted his seat for me to sit next to him when I was in the church van. The girls swooned after me. The ladies laughed. I was getting the attention that I had never got before for the first time. The men called me over, Dion and them wrapped their arms around me, pulling me into the grown men circle that I never had access to before. It smelled of old cigars, Magic Shave, and Brute cologne. I didn't like that. I have smiled and blushed a little bit because it felt good getting this attention. I pushed air out of my nose. I pushed air out of my nose to avoid the smell even further. But we walked into the sanctuary towards the congregation seats, and they allowed me to sit with them and asked my aunt if I could sit with them. The girls never got to sit over here. So I read that part because I remember how they used to treat my cousins, my female cousins. There was literally girls who would come into the church, and if they dress was too short, they would embarrass them and pull them to the side and say, "Oh, let's go to the closet so you can get something to wear that's more respectable for the house of the Lord." Embarrass them. I remember my cousin Tanny, if she came to my house to stay with us for like some hours, they wouldn't let her go outside and play in the dirt like they would let me go outside and play. Me and my friends would be outside making mud pies and shit and playing with the leaves and doing whatever, being free little boys, going on our bikes, riding down the trail, fucking skipping rocks in the river, in the creek, catching turtles, all the shit that my cousin Tanny wanted to do, but because she was a girl, she couldn't come out and play with us. There was a freedom. You couldn't, I could sit on men's laps, even though there was some incidents. I could sit on men's laps. Girls couldn't do that. Girls had to sit with their legs closed. They were put everything about them. Girls don't sit like that. Keep your legs closed. It was cover your body, be tight. You can't be free. You can't be out. Girls had a much more restrictive, and I don't know about nobody else's experience, but I've heard. But this is the reflection of my experience when I looked at little girls who were around me. Little girls didn't have the freedom that I had as a little boy. I was able to go and run the streets until the street lights came on and do what I wanted to do without it being questioned. Yes, some girls had a certain level of freedom to do that once they got a little bit older. But when we were young, no, you had to be prissy. You had to be, in my experience, you had to be prim and proper until they got old enough to, do it was a very big difference in how girls were treated and how they were policed than me. And so coming up in the world, if you have that kind of conditioning, even I recorded an interview with Jabari. I don't know if y'all know Jabari. Jabari is a trans man who he used to be a YouTuber, and he went viral on World Star when he got his top surgery. Beautiful long hair, handsome dude, light skin, and he went viral. Y'all see the interview or whatever. But even in the regards of the type of toys that we got, how many girls do you know got Legos? And I'm not saying that this doesn't exist at all, but how many girls do you know got Legos as a Christmas gift? Legos. How many? I don't know many girls that got Legos. Now, the girls around me, now I know that things are shifting now because we're having a gender shift in the culture. But when I was growing up in the 80s, shit that girls were getting were easy bake ovens, Barbies. There were certain games that they were getting, like my home. We were getting Connect Four, Candyland. Y'all remember Operation? That was the most weird but she never played with it. Operation where you got to do the little thing and you not and pull the bones out and not make that noise. But they were getting things that was gearing them to be that baby dolls that could pee and crawl. They were getting things that was trying to train them to be Susie motherfucking homemaker. They were getting things that were teaching them how to cook, how to fix your hair and wear girl clothes. Now, of course, Cabbage Patch Kids, absolutely. There was things that they were getting. I don't know a girl in my particular life. I'm not saying that this doesn't exist all over the world. There wasn't one girl that got Legos. Yes, I'm pretty sure there may be some, but generally it wasn't. I don't remember a girl getting Legos. Legos is a very unique toy because it's building engineering things. There's a lot of things that if you are a person who are a tinkerer, a person who has a mind that can be sparked by science and tinkering and engineering, that boyhood could lead you to an excellent career in engineering and tech and da 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 da. But a girl who doesn't have that kind of exposure, who doesn't have the exposure, toy vacuums. My mom always talked about not wanting a train track set, and my grandma refused. Right. We got Barbies, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Legos, etc. as girls, but folks were surprised that the girls got all that. My parents were a bit ahead of their time in gender roles. Yes. Now, I think in the 80s, there started to be some new, to me, in my experience, I started to see a little nuance. Like I said, my cousin, she got like Operation, and I think Operation is for a little girl in the time was weird because I heard adults talking about it. My mama was like, "Why you get that baby that fucking thing?" But she didn't complain about her having the little nurse box. There was a nurse box that it had this little skirt for a nurse that looked like kind of like a maid outfit, but but a little skirt and this little hat, and she had the little stethoscope and the little box, and it had this box came with a lipstick, a stethoscope, and a box and a hat. Like it literally like was the girliest nurse's shit. My nephew got a play grill. My niece got a pink kitchen. We know that there was different things in regards to that, and there's a very gender thing. Now, recently we've come in our culture, and it's getting less and less gendered. But there is a privilege that comes when you are a little boy that's allowed to be free, that's allowed to have a little bit more freedom of you exploring the world, and you know, it just comes with a little bit more freedom. And I don't think that how that affects your life is particularly measurable. I didn't have I just look at the girls who were around me, and I can tell that I had more freedom than them. And I don't know how much that freedom affected me being able to affirm my truth. How much that freedom, that mental freedom of being able to do what I wanted to do as a little boy, affect LOL lipstick being included in nurses' medical kit. Yes. Toys were very gendered. Yes. Now kids barely care about toys. They're all about iPads and video games. Yes, it's a whole, and then even the video games are very, you know, free. And so there was a difference in how I was treated. There was a difference in experience. And you can't tell me that that doesn't, I can't tell you, you can't tell me that it doesn't affect the woman that I became. You can't tell me that it doesn't color how I think about the world, how I navigate the world. I don't know how to measure how much it affects, how much that affected me and my queerness. How much did my queerness take my privilege down? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that your queerness didn't affect it at all. Do you see what I'm saying? I know that it was there. There was access to things that Dion had access to me because he played the maleness perfect that I didn't have. But I definitely had more privilege than my cousins who was in the church too. Then the Scott sisters, there was some Scott sisters in my church who there was this girl, one of the girls, I don't know where she at now, but there was 3 sisters and one of them was a tomboy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she wasn't a lesbian right now. But she was a tomboy. She stayed. I remember she got her ass beat because she was out there in the dirt with us. Now we boys and we out there playing and running around, playing tag and running around, getting our little fucking shoes dirty. And she's running and chasing. We running and racing and doing stuff, but she's out here doing the boy stuff because it was fun. We were kids. Baby, her mother whooped her. Baby, y'all don't understand. Her mother whooped her in front of us and took us in that and took her in the church and preached and preached and preached about her running around acting like a boy. A lot more freedom for expression now. Absolutely. So let's go here. Let's talk about this one. And so somebody joins in the conversation. Ignorant intellectual says, what you don't understand, this is talking to the person who didn't get what I was saying. This is another person jumping in the conversation. I got to run around outside looking crazy. My sisters couldn't go outside until their hair was done and couldn't come home dirty and had to care about scratched knees. Boom. Because you know what that does? If your knees is all scratched up, when you grow up to be a woman, that's not gonna be sexy for men. You don't want your legs all scratched up because you want to have nice legs when you get older, and you don't want them to have scars and stuff all over them. That's not gonna be cute. That's literally why that is. It really sucks when you realize the preacher is reading you from the pulpit, especially as a kid. Yeah, later on in the book, I explained that, how that turned out. So, Ignorant Intellectual says, it's happening right here on this post. On this very subthread, the privilege assigned to white men being defended and prodded. We aren't discussing someone transitioning early in life. We are talking about a white, wealthy Republican trans woman who parented kids pre-coming out who was an Olympian. And 2 white folks on this thread are making it something really simple, more complex than what it is. It is the humanity and grace and exceptional amount of understanding extended to white people assigned as male as birth, who have full use of their bodies, cognitive abilities, and wealth, Caitlyn Jenner actually isn't that difficult to understand. 60 plus years in a particular type of socialization isn't hard to grasp. Even if we say it wasn't quite the typical assigned male at birth socialization, I'm sure we can agree that her socialization was not that of a cisgender white woman, much closer to that of a cisgender white male, especially at the height of her career. And for decades, Caitlyn Jenner is closer to 70 years old and came out quite recently. And I responded and I said, decades, not even a single queer man, because it would be different to me if Caitlyn didn't get married, didn't have a wife, like she would just stay single. Back in the day, a lot of dudes that were queer would stay single. They would never marry. And everybody was like, I wonder what was up with him. Even that is different. I was like, you are a married father with a homely homemaker wife. Her documentary pointed out a lot of this stuff and was quite insightful. Y'all should check it out. A whole married straight man, a whole white cis straight man life. You're making this, and this is what the ignorant intellectual says. You're making this entire thing about you when it's about Caitlyn. I'm reading your specific responses. If someone grew up as a closeted trans girl who presented to the world as a white male kid, then they're reaping the benefits of a cis white male kid. Even you said that your transness was closeted, so no one knew. Thus, folks and systems of the world treated you like you presented to the world. It's the same with Caitlyn. There is a river called denial that is happening on this post. You're not understanding. And I say, how can they understand the safety of being perceived as cisgender and then at the same time don't believe in the privilege that comes with being cisgender of any type of gender, white woman gender, white black male gender, whatever? That's weird to me for you not to understand the privileges that comes along with that. And ignorant intellectual says that's a river called denial. It would force them to have a truly, this was powerful to me. It will force them to have a true acknowledge their own privilege. They're trying not to acknowledge it. In action, in real life, applied, pragmatic, peripheral privileges discussed in cultural competency training. Yes, we know that because when you be trans, you coming into these woke queer spaces that's teaching you some new shit about your whiteness. And you can play in the background and say, oh, I understand privileges and pretend, but in action, what does it look like of you actually looking at your privilege? If you are a trans white person, there is privilege that comes with your whiteness. And if you and disadvantages that come with your transness, both of them things exist. Yes, they identify with Caitlyn. That's the part of the issue. They can't see it. Woo. Yes, I loved it. I love it. Right. Caitlyn didn't come out until after her career was mostly ending. She benefited from a long life of living as a white male. Yes. And that's the thing about it. And it doesn't matter how long or how short, darling. Even, let's take the beautiful Jazz Jennings. I feel there comes a time, even when your child, and it's immeasurable. This is what I was talking about early with my transition. It's immeasurable. But the time that it takes for your parents to realize that you are trans. So however long from the time, oh, it's a boy. When we look at these, hey, Carrie Trapshaw, thank you for becoming a member. When we look at these gender reveal videos, when we look at how men talk about wanting a son, when we look at women talking about, oh, I want a son because girls are difficult, they can get pregnant, there's some people who want girls, of course, but there is something about wanting a son There is something that comes with having a son. And so when they are born, there can be, and I'm saying that this is immeasurable, that I don't know how to measure this, but there can be a privilege that comes with knowing that, oh, I have a boy son. I might buy them some extra this. I might buy them. I might there can be some socialization and freedom and all this kind of stuff until the time we realize that, oh, this is not my normal son. How now we got to shift. Even a transgender, a supportive parent, between the time that you are born and the time that you decide to support your child, you are treating them in a certain way because you don't know that they are trans yet. And those privileges that come with you treating this boy child differently than this girl child, or let's talk about that colorism. The privileges that come when you not think about if you have a light-skinned child and a dark-skinned child. The privileges that come when that comes with that, we might can't measure it. We don't know how much it affects, but it comes. But it's there. You feel? Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, even just by me being a light-skinned little boy, there was some type of privilege that came between the time I was born to the time I was all my life, but let's just say from birth to 5 years old. There were some privileges that come, even if we know how important touch is to a child, right? Well, like there is scientific backing about a child being like premature babies surviving more when they're touched. What if, because I was a light-skinned little baby, all the people was like, oh my God, you're such a pretty little baby, touched me more than a dark-skinned little child? How did that actually affect me growing up? How did that affect me? We know how important touch was. I don't know how to measure it, but because what we know about colorism, we know that that's something, right? We know that colorism exists. And so there's something that happened there. Or and that's just an example. So being a male child, maybe you may be treated different. And we're not talking about, oh, the female child just got neglected. But there may be something that's different that happened with the male child than it happens with the female child. There's maybe some type of difference. And so even if you are transitioning at a younger age, that privilege, I don't know how to measure it in that. I don't know how to measure that. But because we know that there's a difference in feeling with a male child than a girl child, boom. So I find it quite interesting. I think it's really, really interesting that we don't understand that we, in one instance, no, I don't find that white people don't understand it. Because like I said, navigating the world free and clear of most oppression, it gives you a blind spot. It just does. Yes, Bridget. How do you say that? Brigadier? Bridget. How do you say that first name? Brigier? Brigier Hill? Yes. Regardless of the length of time, there's a lasting effect of privilege lived and experienced. Yes. That's what I believe. And it doesn't invalidate your identity now. I want to make that very clear. It doesn't invalidate your identity now. It's just something about your past. It's something in your past. Me and my little brother talked about this recently too. My little brother is the darkest of my mother's children. And there was a specific incident when we were younger and that I noticed it. Now, prior to me noticing it, it probably happened before and I just didn't notice it. But this was a moment when I noticed it when it comes to colorism. Um, we were I don't know where we were at, but we were coming. We were all dressed up because it wasn't Easter. It was something like an event like Easter, but it wasn't Easter. And we were little boys dressed up in our cute clothes. um, and we walk into the room, and when all three of us walk into the room, they praise me. They talk about how handsome I was, and they talk about my eye color. I have like green and brown eyes and all that kind of shit. So they're saying stuff like, "Oh, this motherfucker gonna be fine when he get older. He gonna be a heartbreaker." And you know how they do cute little boys. He gonna be a heartbreaker. He gonna get all the bitches. He gonna get all the little girls. They gonna be chasing him. Oh, you gonna have a problem with him. So they was doing all of that. My little brother, the middle one, he has the best grade of hair. Now we get into the weeds of black negative anti-black culture. He has a better grade of hair than me and my youngest brother. So he got the curly hair. So the people in the room say, "Oh, he gonna be fine too." But look at his hair. Look at how his hair just laid. And they talk about his hair. He don't got the funny color eyes, and he's not as light as I am. But they're talking about his hair. Okay. But that's where it stops. When they get to the darker brother, my youngest brother, the youngest one, they don't say anything negative about him at all. They just don't say nothing at all. He doesn't have the curly hair. He's not as light as us. He don't have the funny color eyes. He don't have anything of what they was praising us for. So how does that affect the child? Now, me, as his older sibling, who loves both of my brothers, who loves them, and I've always been an empath, looking at the world around me, even when I was younger. That was the first time that I noticed the difference in how we were being treated based on my skin color, based on our proximity to fucking whiteness. Basically, I wouldn't have called it that when I was younger. But because I didn't have that language or that politic. Now, Vanessa, you know that I am live. Why are you calling? So I wouldn't have called it that, but I noticed as a child. I think I was like 8 or 9, but I noticed as a child. No, I had to be like 10 or 11. No, I was 11. Yes. And so, yes, I was 11. And so I saw the difference. It wasn't that they were negative to him or called him ugly or called him blah, 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 blah. What called him anything negative is they didn't say anything at all. And so they wouldn't think that it was wrong. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if they're giving a compliment, oh, but they wouldn't go in on him if they were going in on us. They would just leave it at that. They would be like, "Oh yeah, look at your little suit." Da, 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 da. And so there was a difference, and he grew up with a complex about it. And me, I grew up with a complex about how I treated him. I treated my little brother like a king. Because of that moment, how I treated my brother was very different as we grew up than my other middle brother, which might be why me and my middle brother has issues. People really think kids don't process those things, and they absolutely do. They absolutely do. And so I would go above and beyond to make my little brother feel handsome and say nice things about him. And he got older, and he affirmed that he clocked that was happening. Like he was like, one thing that gave him confidence was, his sisters. Like his sister really really booing him up. And so, that's something, but I intentionally did that because of what I experienced and how my grandmother would call him her little monkey. Now, I don't think in her mind she thought that was, I thought she thought it was a cute little name, but that's not cute. And so and she would straddle the fence with it being an insult and it being a cute little nickname. It would be real weird. It would be real weird. And so I noticed that early on. So when I got older and I started to politically engage with colorism and politically and notice it. And then I would notice it in my best friend growing up was a dark-skinned girl. And so I would notice things being said about her behind her back and things being disrespect, that they would say things and shit like that. And I was noticing it with her. And it was different things that was informing my politics around that. And so it affects who I am today. All that shit, everything I experienced, all of that affects who I am today and how I engage with that. It affects that. And so I say all of that to say, you're not about to tell me that you being a cisgender, white, rich, conservative man didn't color who you are today as a woman, Caitlyn. I'm sorry. And I don't think me acknowledging that is transphobic. I don't think it's trans exclusionary unless I'm telling you that Caitlyn isn't a woman because of it. I disagree with that. I think she is a woman. I think she comes from a generation that was taught to hide. I'm in here. Hey. Hey, Ty. It's you can't tell me that didn't affect your life, because it did, baby. I'm sorry, boo. It did. And girl, and that's why you running around with your Republican ideals, because you're ignorant and don't understand anything outside of being a white male. And now you are transferring those ideologies to being a trans white woman. That's what you're doing. And so you are a woman of white man experience to me. And so I wanted to talk about that. So this is our last half an hour. Is there anything that y'all want to talk about before I go? Because your boy Nunu, y'all know Nunu on YouTube. Your boy Nunu and Africana boy are going out to eat. Oh yeah. But that's why we can see the nuance, because of all of our very super multidimensional experiences, which is why your comment needed to be sat with as opposed to some of those responses. Absolutely. It needed to be chew on this a little bit. Sometimes when you read something that you don't understand, that's complex, you got to chew on it. Chew on it a little bit. Get the flavor, get the taste. See what it is. Sometimes it's not intentionally meant to be offensive, or something about you is triggered because it's a reflection. It's holding up a mirror to your ass. You gotta chew on it a little bit. Suck it. Suck the flavor of like a piece of sassafras. Like a piece of sassafras root. That was country as hell. Y'all know what sassafras root is. That actually is the root that gives Dr. Pepper is unique flavor. I love the hat, Diamond. Thank you. Hey, Will. Um, I want to lift up this hat you rocking. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And y'all know I love me some butterflies. I have butterflies all over my shape, honey. Butterflies. Even though the shirt was quite expensive, way expensive than what it should have been. And I don't want to say I accidentally bought it, but I thought it was going to be a regular shirt. Um, That love protected him. Yes, and he affirmed that as I got older. I thought I was doing it in secret. Not secret, but I was trying to do it on the low. I don't know why, but yeah. But I think that's why we have the great relationship that we do. Like flavored sunflower seeds. Yeah, she got to suck on them. Yes, like Dave, sunflower seeds. Mm. Cool fact about Dr. Pepper. Yes, cool fact. That is marrow from the bone, baby. Right. Caitlyn is like that one black Trump supporter that he always positions behind him right in front of the camera. They don't give a fuck about her, but she's willing to throw us all under the bus for their agenda. Yes. Ooh. And they can use their proximity to her to invalidate, to try to illegitimize claims that they are transphobic or homophobic and da da da. Look, we have Caitlyn on Fox News. See, we don't mind if you're LGBT. But that's bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit. Let me see what else. I love in these jeans and I get up in these jeans. What's the song by Chloe Bailey, honey? Her little number is sickening, baby. Yeah. A new Supreme is flowering, baby. Miss Chloe, honey. Miss Chloe, a new Supreme is flowering, baby. You know, Beyonce done hit 40, so she ready to go sit down. And then we got this afternoon, we got Pressure, mother Ari Lennox with Pressure looking sexy, got all her shape out, looking like a 70s Barbie doll, baby. Ooh, the girls are blessing us this September, aren't they? Ooh. So Diamond, what you're watching these days? What am I watching? What have I been watching lately? Oh, I don't know. I haven't been really watching anything. Oh, I've been watching Blade. I've been rewatching Blade, all the Blades. The real gag was Miss Tina. She looked good. Yeah, she did look cute. I love that she went in. She looked amazing. Victoria Monet's video just dropped too. I haven't seen. I like Victoria Monet more than I think that I do. Like I be hearing songs by her and I be like, oh, this song is cute, but I don't know who it is. She needs a better marketing because she has some fire ass songs. But she need her and that who's the Twiggy girl? What's it? FMLA Twiggy or what's the word? I don't know her name. I'm getting to auntie status. So I don't know what the young people is doing so far. FKA Twig something. Yes, something. Her, she be having some fire videos. Her, Victoria Monet, Tanashi, they don't have a good marketing team or something. I don't know. Yeba's album does something to me. I heard she got some stuff on there too. I haven't listened, but I'm gonna have to get into it. They blessing us. The trans men's are in their feelings about Lil Nas X being pregnant. They said his pictures are transphobic. I disagree, but that's not my business. So that's on them. Not all of them. It's a lot of them that's like, girl, get the fuck out of here. But they did have a conversation about what I feel like is it should have the way they handled that situation was wrong. I don't think they needed to position Little Nas because his is just a representation of the birthing of his album. I don't think his and it's not my job to tell people what they should be offended by. So that's why I said I mind my business. But I feel like they could have opened up the conversation. It could have been a launching point for the conversation around How you like Wild Side? I liked Wild Side's visual. I wasn't enthralled by the song, but I loved visual. I think um Normani is sickening. I think she's beat. And that mirror dance routine where it looked like she was dancing with herself, sickening. I didn't like Cardi's verse. I didn't like her verse. I feel like Cardi's I hated Rumors with Lizzo. I feel like Cardi's verse on Rumors should have been her verse on Wild Side or something. I don't know, because I like Cardi's verse and hate the Rumor songs, but I don't like the Wild Side song. But I like Cardi's verse, but I don't like Cardi's verse. I like the Wild Side song, but I don't like Cardi's verse. Yeah, I think that's what I mean. Wild Side was a waste of a Cardi feature. Yeah, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. R&B guys are definitely shining down upon us this fine evening. Facts. Woo, child. Yeah, but the nostalgia. Child, when I saw Caden up there talking, my size flared up. So I actually, to be honest, I actually was proud of Caden because Caden went a direction. Caden had some nuance that I didn't expect Caden to have. I thought Caden, if you follow Caden, Caden can be quite the dramatic, sensitive person. And so I thought this was going to be extra, but actually on the platform with the Asian and white person, there was some nuance that Caden had that I was actually proud of him. He didn't do too much to me. I thought Caden's responses was pretty great. And I love that people in the comments were calling out the anti-blackness, how you all of a sudden, like literally, James Charles did the exact same thing, and there was literally no response to it. And then y'all sitting on here pretending like y'all don't know James Charles when he got more followers than Little Nas X. Come on now. You might not know him, but you ain't about to make me, girl. This is anti-black, sweetie. Y'all just calling the Lil Nas X because he black, child. Because any other man being pregnant, y'all ain't decided to call out. He was BSing in the beginning, so I was apprehensive. But I think he was navigating how he was going to, in a smart way. I think he was navigating how he was going to respond to it, because he's seen in the original comments of the original post, everybody was like, not everybody, but a lot of people was like, this ain't it. So even some trans men was like, y'all tripping. This is a reach. Oh, this is a reach, baby. I just hope the people close to Lil Nas are loving on him with so much coming in his direction. I think Lil Nas X is handling it quite brilliantly. even if you think about it, if you look at what he's been doing recently, he recently just put out a baby registry, and in the registry he linked trans organizations. I think he is a marketing genius. I think it is brilliant what he is doing in how he's handling this, how he is, what he chooses to respond to, how he chooses to respond. I just think it's brilliant. I think that he is a beautiful young man who is handling this beautifully. I just think it's amazing. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Arnold Schwarzenegger did a whole movie, Pregnant Child. Yes, Junior. There's so many people that have done that. And so, and what's crazy is the whole tip's talking about demasculinizing the black man. You don't see, I think Conscious Lee called out a dude on that bullshit. Because he was like, you don't see no white men running around here with pregnant bellies. And I'm like, it literally was a whole movie about that with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We got a whole drag movie of with a lead character, Patrick Swayze, in drag. We have seen gender bending shit happen with everybody. Tom Hanks, bosom buddies. We have seen gender bending has always been a comedic theme. Robin Williams, we've seen it. Why are you making this because you're stupid and you are homophobe and you don't know how to explain that away, but you don't want to admit it. You make these stupid ass fucking get out of here. Stupid. Little Nas has a very good marketing team. I thought he wasn't going to last this long when he first came out, but he's doing all right. I'm gonna buy his little record. Yes, I definitely am. And what's beautiful, this is the thing about it. This is what's beautiful. There is a thing that's happening nowadays, and it's multiple people doing this. I think Little Boosie is doing it. I think Candace Owen is doing it. I think Little Nas X is doing it. I think that Lizzo is doing it. There is a marketing strategy where you galvanize your base. Trump did it a lot. Just by Little Nas, I think if Little Nas X didn't attack this homophobic shit, I don't think that his music would carry him to the stardom that he is getting. I think our responding to want to protect him, queer people and people who are queer aligned or allyship, us responding to want to protect him and want to defend him, that galvanizes people to be a supporter, to share it, to da 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 da. He's doing that brilliantly, but don't forget that. So that is, I talked about this on Facebook, that Little Boosie is doing the same exact thing too. He is the reason why he is mentioning Little Nas X every single time that Little Nas X do something, and everybody's like, why don't you mind your business? What he got to do? That is his business. He is also galvanizing his base. He knows that there is a market for the antithesis of Little Nas. Who is the antithesis of Little Nas? Who is going to be the opposite? This is going to be controversial, but anyway. Who I think a lot of female artists that we love to celebrate today are celebrated because they are the antithesis of Beyonce. I was going to name names, but because they are the antithesis of Beyonce, they are popular. I'll name one of them, Taylor Swift. It's not saying that she's not talented, but because she is the white antithesis of Beyonce, there's going to be people who like gravitate towards her. That's why when she do things that shakes it up, they like, oh my God, we wanted you to be this. I think that, and it doesn't take away what they beautiful gowns. It doesn't take away what they're doing. Let's say Kelly Rowland. Kelly Rowland is sickening. Don't get me wrong, sickening. But one of the reasons why motherfuckers love and cling to her is because she's the antithesis of Beyonce. Oh, I don't want to celebrate her old light-skinned ass. Let me celebrate the pretty brown girl right next to her. Just because I don't want to celebrate her. Rihanna. Beyonce is the girl next door, typical sex kitten girl next door. Rihanna is the more edgy one. The antithesis of Beyonce. I think so. I hate when you make that face. Ah. I like Ann Coulter. It's like Ann Coulter, Rolly Bree episode of Boondocks. I don't watch the Boondocks. I'll just think of Rihanna too. It's a couple of antithesis. Who's the antithesis of Obama? It's no surprise that Donald Trump rose up to where he rose. He's the antithesis of Obama. There is a market for being the antithesis of the person who is the popular, who is the good, or who is the da da da. That's always there's gonna be always a another girl. Um yeah. Don't get the Navy versus Flea High riled up. I'm in the Navy and the Beehive, baby. Oh. So I think that we have to understand that little Boosie, and he just dropped whatever this little documentary about his little life struggle or whatever. He needs a way to keep. He's not doing music that is relevant anymore, so he needs a way to keep relevant and being the antithesis of the gay boy, the gay rapper, and calling out how times have changed. That's his claim to, that's his spiel, that's his thing. Hmm. He's not relevant at all. Oh, he's relevant now. That people are waiting when Little Nas X does something. People are waiting to hear what he has to say about that. They go to his page to see him respond to it, to see what he has to say. That's why you see all the blogs, the Shade Room, and the B Scotts, and the Grio, and as soon as he says something, he says, they say, "Ooh, little Bootsy says da 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 da." Da." Yeah, only because of Lil Nas. Don't cut off his dick, man. Yes. So if he says something about any queer person, Lil Nas, and um, Zaya, it's wild. Wild, wild. Yeah. Boosie looks like ice machine sludge. That's that motherfucking Trick Daddy. Trick Daddy look like a motherfucking TV dinner brownie. Hmm. I bet you his sales has gone up. This type of attention. Trick Daddy's new storyline is about his Beyonce beef, and I cackled. Beyonce is not worried about no damn Trick Daddy. Mm. But yes, do you follow Kaya on Instagram? She drags him on a regular basis. I do not follow Kaya on Instagram. I used to follow Kaya because I really liked even some of her antics. I really liked it, but it gets to the point where it's just her incident with T.S. Madison. It started to be really too transphobic. Shit that was happening in her comments. It started to be too much for me, so I couldn't follow her no more. I couldn't support her numbers. Beyonce probably don't even remember Trick Child. Yeah, it just got Kaya just got too much. It started to be too general instead of too about Madison. So I had to get up out of the Kaya camp. Not that she's not funny. She'd be funny. Have you been revisiting the Aaliyah catalog with these releases? I have not. I am not particularly an Aaliyah fan. I don't hate Aaliyah, but um my favorite album of hers is One in a Million. But if it come on, if a song I like, back, forth and forth. If that come on, I'm gonna rock to it. One in a million come. Your love is a one in a million. It goes on and on and on. If it come on, I'm a rock to it, but I'm not gonna go look up an Aaliyah song. Doom 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 doom. If it comes on, I'm gonna rock to it, but I'm not gonna play it. That's not a. That's not what I'm gonna go play. She went too far with what she said about T.S. mother and trans comments. Yeah. I listened to the whole Red album last night. That's my favorite one. I loved Rock the Boat, Rock the Boat. I loved that video. That video really excited me. I wanted to see what she was gonna do. I really wanted to. I don't think she would be a prominent vocal artist. I think that she would be a actress right now. I think. I think she would did a pivot like Kiki Palmer. I wish her mom and family actually made money off of it instead of her greedy uncle. Hot like fire. Yes. There's some bops, of course, because you know, the team that she had, she's like the team that she had was magical. She's like Brandy with Rodney Jerkins. Timberland with Missy and Aaliyah, it's like a magic. It's like Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, and the rest of Fleetwood Mac coming together on the Rumors album. It's just a magic that you can't get. You can't remake that. That's like a you can try, but it's just a magic. She was gonna be a big actress, yes. Same Queen of the Dam is one of my favorites. Anita just got her master's back. I was cleaning my house, honey, and listened to Anita. Hey. Mm. Some teams are just perfect and on specific time and for a specific album. Yeah. So happy with Anita for Anita. Yes, I am too. I'm always happy when artists get their things. Is that um James Baldwin on your picture? Be happy. Is that James? I love James. Ah, I wish her mom and family. Okay, yeah, I got that. Well, all right, y'all. Let me see what's going on in my world. For me to tell y'all what's happening. I will be on Wednesday having a community conversations with an organization called A Call to Men. I will be posting the information on Instagram um or Facebook, having a conversation with them. I'm doing a film with them also. We are recording in October that they have allowed me to really do it. Um, about trans violence, and but we're talking to cisgender black men and trans women, so we're excited about it. Yeah. Um. Oh, guess what? I want to show y'all. Look at this. This is my book cover. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for y'all to see it. I'm so excited for y'all to read it and all the new stuff I've added. I'm so uh, it's gonna be so cute. It's gonna be so cute. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's coming. We are finalizing it. I had to go with a publisher out of Canada because they had the best deal for me as far as money. You can do the voice recording. Yes, I will be doing the Audible. I will be doing, yeah, I will be doing everything. Is it is so, it's like it's it's they got the best, they had the best deal for me. As far as you know, you know, percentages, baby, and rights. And so everybody else is trying to be stingy, wanted to give me 10% and dumb shit. The fuck? But they had this publishing company out of Canada. It's much, much, much better bag. I'm getting the Audible and a pretty copy. Thank you. I will definitely let y'all know. It's gonna be a whole thing. We're gonna have a whole marketing strategy. We're still in the itemizing stage. I had to come up with I wanted to make sure everything was from here. Like everything is what I want it to be. They better stay off them drugs. Yes. I was like, what? I'm doing all the fucking work. Like, what? Y'all don't have to come up with a fucking artist to do the cover. I do everything myself. A photographer for the cover, everything I'm going to do myself. So that I can send y'all itemized list of what y'all owe me to pay me before we even get to the publishing's rights and the percentage of the residuals and shit like that. Thanks, Brandon. Ah, I'm so excited. I got chills. I always go once I finished it, I always kind of go show it to my friends to see what their mindset is about it. And every my whole little tribunal of friends was like, we like that one. That one's fire. Because I had another version that wasn't, I liked it too, but it wasn't as good as that one. But all right, y'all. I have to get dressed because my peoples are on the way, and I will talk to y'all next. No, y'all are gonna see me soon. I have a interview with Jabari, and it's coming. Another trans man, black trans man, and um we talk about being trans in tech, like technology, and being in the tech field and trans. And I wanted to share him with y'all because he cool. He ain't as, I hope y'all enjoy the conversation with me and me and Tony Michelle. She's so vibrant and we can kiki, but what you call it ain't as vibrant, but he's smart. So I think we have a good conversation. But he's very one of them dudes that's like, yeah, he's not as animated, but but he is but it's a good conversation. So I can't wait to show y'all that. Tony was a key. Yeah, Tony was hilarious. But yeah, definitely check that out. Episode of Marsha's Play is with Tony Michelle. We have a whole conversation about abolition and her growing up and you know, maybe like some suicidal stuff and dealing with, transitioning from a more free exploring in Europe and then coming back to shitty America, all that kind of stuff. She goes through all kinds of shit. And we talk about it. So make sure y'all check that out. And yeah, I will see y'all later on in the week. Um yeah. All right, y'all.